Last time we ran an on point scoring round, our drivers had to face the fearsome Detroit Belle Isle circuit. This time, we'll double the length, send it up and down the side of a mountain, and wait to see what unfolds. It's going to be fun here at Bathurst as we get ready to watch tonight's non championship round of the BiS F1600 Championship. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is IMSA driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Mount Panorama Circuit has captured the imaginations of drivers for many, many years now. Let's take a look at our track guide to see what comes with it.
Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrad Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Rock Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today.
This track is a real doozy. If you've never seen it before, Joey, any of our viewers who haven't seen it before, they are in for a treat today.
If you look at the side of a mountain, put a racetrack onto it and say, hey, this is where we're going to go race. This is Mount Panorama Circuit. And you're right, it is a huge doozy. 4 miles, 23 turns, and yeah, maybe turn 1, last turn 23, look relatively normal in terms of 90-degree in elevation, but the rest of it, once you head off into Griffin's Bend, it gets immediately into extreme elevation through the Cutting. It's uphill all the way to Skyline, where you finally start going back down the mountain, down through the Dipper, one of the most dramatic turns in all of motorsports, through Forest Elbow and downhill through the giant Conrad straightaway. Now, these cars won't be doing 200 miles an hour, but there's plenty of straightaway length here at Mount Panorama Circuit.
Yeah, we should see a lot of slipstreaming because of that in these cars. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the championship. I did say that this is a non-championship round, so this won't count towards what we're seeing here. But Stuart Ross now ahead of Keenan Harris, but only by 6 points. Pervian back there by 17 from Stewart. Needs to start playing some catch-up. And then you've got Janitas, who has actually looked pretty quick lately, so he could be something of a threat. We still have a couple rounds to go, 2 points paying events after this, and 3 races per event. So definitely could be switching things around before all is said and done. So watch out for those top 4 very much in the hunt. They also have a teams championship. Joey, why don't you run us through that?
Right now, it's Gladiator Road Racing really dominating that team's championship. 100 points out in front of Lima. But look at this. There's actually a pretty close battle here between second, third, fourth, Lima Racing, Britain West Motorsports, and CC Motorsports. doesn't fall off too much with generic sim sport, but I want to draw your attention to that CRL Rainbow Warriors. Now, they look a little far behind, 261 points behind with a total of 100 points, but they only competed at Mosport. So if they continue to have those good points weekends, you'll see them jump up into the top 5.
Indeed. Now, as for today's race details, it's going to be slightly different. Normally, it's 15-minute sprints. Well, this one's going to be 17-minute sprints. And so they will do as they usually do, where the top 10 are inverted for race 3. So top 10 finishing order. But the finishing order for the other race, for race number 2, is decided by the finishing order of race 1. They also have an extra spare car. So if you run into problems, which is frankly easy to do at this track, they do have a second backup so that they can try and stick with it, because this is just for fun. This is not for points, hence why they're tossing them a bone here and making sure that everybody gets to stay out there. Drive-through penalty at 12 incidents and a disqualification at 17 means that you're going to have to try and keep it within the white lines, but frankly, you're more likely to run out of those spare cars first. Around here,
Yeah,
so.
definitely. When you're not going to fall off the mountain, you're going to run into a wall out here. So, and plus, couple that with the open wheels of these cars, it is really narrow. I know that these are kind of go-kart size when you put them on a racetrack, but down here through Forest Elbow, you see a very narrow funnel section. These drivers are going to have to not only keep it off of the walls, but keep it off of each other.
Indeed. Now, as usual, we've got our pit reporter, Zippy, with us. Zippy, one thing that you were talking to us about a little bit earlier is that these cars are so momentum-based, and considering how steep the hills are here, I wonder if that's going to be extra important at this track.
Oh, it's definitely going to be one of those races where you're going to have to decide, is it worth taking the pass now, or do you want to try and keep momentum going up the hill? If it was me, I don't think I'd be trying any passes going up the mountain. I think I'd be trying to ride the bumper for the guy in front of me as close as possible, and then just nail him down the Conroe straight. I think that's going to be the way to go. Saying that, do I want to see 2 wide, 3 wide going through the mountain? Oh, yeah.
Same here. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there absolutely will be multiple cars wide in a number of spots. Maybe not up through here, unless they're very brave. Now, these aren't very big cars, so we could see some drivers maybe try to take it too wide, but you can see how much it weaves back and forth, and also the huge drop in elevation. I think this onboard really shows it, Joey, just how much you're just falling and falling.
You also have to consider when you're going down the hill, it just feels like the weight is on the front of the car. So if the car's loose at all, consider yourself having to tiptoe from Skyline all the way through Forest Elbow down that mountain, because you're going to be nervous about that rear end stepping out on you.
Right now, in the midst of qualifying, Stuart Ross has the provisional pole position, but it's extremely small margins. Remember, it's almost 2.5 minutes around here, and yet he's only got 0.07 of a second over Brent Sterling. Right now, we're watching Stephen Vervijen, who, as I said, has at times been fast, but Joey, it seems like he's been a little bit mistake-prone lately as well.
You're right. I think that Bathurst might prove what we're going to see out of Stephen Vervijen. Is it going to be a little crashy with the walls so close, or are we just going to see the speed that we've seen go up there and take away victories? But he's in the mix there. I would consider less than 0.5 seconds on a 2.5-minute lap extremely close.
Absolutely. So Keenan Harris now, who came in a little bit late, but seems to be pretty on the pace quite quickly, is only about 0.6 seconds off of Stuart Ross. His latest lap sadly did not count, so he'll continue on around. Meanwhile, we're watching Connor Janitas, who sits in 6th just behind Keenan Harris. Now, this might be the way to go. He's got Stuart Ross in front of him, so he's going to get a slipstream here to help him.
Just matters if he can complete the lap in the next 38 seconds.
That's right.
I just don't see these cars being able to do that. But I agree with you, Joe. This would be the right strategy.
I'd completely forgotten about it. Lost track of time. Remember, they can't complete the hot laps here, so this is it. Everybody has finished laps who can, because I don't think that they're close enough to be able to reach that start-finish line at about 20 seconds through the chase, even though this is a very fast part of the track. So I guess we've got time then to go through our starting order for today's first race of the night. We'll have 3 of them, and it's going to be Stuart Ross, who will be on the pole position, followed by Brent Sterling in the second spot. Then from there, it's going to be Nick Horvath in P3 and Stephen Vervian in 4th. Keenan Harris starts P5, followed by Connor Janita 6th and C.R. Reed 7th. Ron Gale, P8 for him, will be followed by John Benwillid in 9th and Michael Broomhead P10.
Here in 11th, we've got Rich Meesters along with Harland Goulburn in 12th. Dave Peterson and Craig Willis will make up row number 7. Cedric Ohayon in 15th. Matthew Mielman in 16th. Alex Ellis 17th. And Shane Vickery 18th.
So will we see all of them? Yeah, they are all in the session right now. So that's awesome. Should get all the drivers on the way here for the first race. So they're getting lined up and ready to go. A little earlier, you saw some of the weather. It's actually been heating up somewhat. It's up to 98 degrees Fahrenheit. It was down at around 91 a little bit earlier in the evening. But clearly, with the temperatures rising, with the sun coming up, we're going to see the track get slicker and slicker, which is not going to make life easy for them, no doubt. Just waiting on, it looks like, I think, Stephen Vervian. And no, it looks like Horvath and Vervian are still needing to find their way out to the grid. And after that, we should be ready to go here in just a few moments. They get 2 minutes to grid up, so he's got about 30 seconds left to put the car out there, and shouldn't really need to do a whole lot to these things to get them prepared and ready to go. But they're going to make everyone wait, apparently, because we are still sitting patiently with 10 seconds left now. If they do not line up on the grid, they'll be forced to start from the pit lane. Let's see what they choose. I think they're deciding to go from a start from pit lane and try to go from back to front. This is going to be fun. And with it being a non-championship round, they're here for fun. Lights are up and the engines now start to rev. Green flag is out. Stuart Ross is off the line pretty decently compared to Brent Sterling, who is looking like he's starting to make inroads now, but backs out of it down to the inside. Nick Horvath takes a bit of a peek into Hell Corner, and they accelerate on their way up the mountain straight. Looks like we're clean off the first turn here, Joey.
Awesome seeing all of these Formula cars go down the straightaway towards Griffin's Bend for the first time. Stuart Ross with an excellent jump. I'm looking at Keenan Harris working his way by Nick Horvath for that third place position. You see the slipstream already coming into effect. These cars, they don't produce a very high-end speed, but the slipstream will be huge.
A little bit of side-by-side farther back, but it looks like we have managed to get through Griffin's Bend. Still see Peterson and Willis trying to sort that one out. Eventually, they probably want to go single file here now that we are climbing up the mountain. That's out of the cutting, and you can see they're still going wheel to wheel. Cedric Ohayon now the one losing out.
Zippy mentioned it's all momentum, because if you lift off the throttle going up the hill in these cars, Joe, you're just never going to gain it back. You gotta stick your foot in it.
Ellis already up to 13th, 4 positions gained here from the start of the race as they now head back down the hill through Skyline and into the Dipper. It's Stuart Ross leading with Sterling in second and Harris in P3. Ooh, I saw a little bit of smoke. Not sure if somebody had a problem there.
I think maybe Nick Horvath might have gotten pretty close to a wall. A little bit of a gap now between himself and Keenan Harris. But, oh, there's problems coming out of Forrest Elbow the first lap for Michael Broomhead.
Yeah, so had a big slap on the right-hand side, and the car does not look like it's tracking straight. He does have the spare car, but he's going to be cost a lot of time here. I anticipate, Joey, this is going to be a bit of a race of survival.
It will be. I've been very impressed, though, through the mountain the first time. Haven't really had any big wrecks or attrition. You see coming through the chase here, Michael Broomhead with that wounded car. He's trying to stay out of the way, trying to keep it safe on the racetrack.
And someone got a little bit of a shove. That was Rich Meesters. Thankfully, there's enough runoff. He's able to get back on the track, just losing a couple positions. But in front of him, that is Shane Vickery, who loses control and slaps the wall himself.
Looks like they're going to have to come and get it fixed. But leading the first lap, Stuart Ross already through turn 1 with an impressive lead. But this battle for 8th place is strong, as it looks like we're going to check out a replay.
Yep, let's take another look at things here. So this is Matthew Malin. Oh, we got a hip check, and there's just not enough space there up along the parks at the top of the hill.
It's pretty much right as he crests the top of the hill. It's narrow throughout this racetrack, and look at this. This might even be bump drafting.
I don't know if I'd really want to try and bump draft in these cars, but side by side through Griffin's Bend, looks like they're going to survive that one, although a bit of a poor run from Harlan Goulbourne, and he's going to drop back to the back of this pack, which I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing lots of this pack-style racing as well.
And look who's in the middle of this. Alex Ellis here in the number 14 car. He's the one that's right on the back of John Benwillid here. He's working his way up, already looking driver's left, which is where you want to place the car. But this is a fast section without any brake zones, without any big lifts. It's going to be tough to get it done here. I'm thinking more into Skyline, but even then, that's a gutsy move.
Very much so, and we're riding on board with Alex Ellis. Now, Zippy's been keeping an eye on him. It sounds like he has been absolutely slicing through the field.
Oh, he really has there, Joe. He started at the back, and he's making his way through the field. He's already up 8 places. Last lap, he did 3 people just on the Conrod straight. Phenomenal.
Big slide there coming off the corner, but I think he kept it out of the wall. Right now, he's on John Benwillid just in front of him. He's going to get a nice little tow, a little bit of straight line speed in comparison. But as they come down Conrod, he's going to have to finish the job into the chase. And they are once again wheel to wheel. Who is the bravest on the brakes, leaving just enough space to the outside as they come through the kink down into the braking zone, much deeper for Ellis. And he's going to slide it into the corner, but he makes it to the apex.
And look at this. He's already setting up the next pass on Ron Gale. He's looking down to the inside. He's already got a nose there. Does he go late on the brakes into Murray's corner? He does. 2 passes in 2 corners for Alex Ellis.
He's been doing that a lot, apparently. As Harlan Goulbourne has another problem in the background, unfortunately, and another incident as that is Dave Peterson, who is slowed down to the inside. So the Viking Hot Rods racing driver picking it back up, but I can tell by that front left tire, driver's left, I don't think that suspension is in the right shape.
No, Joe, and it's going to be Dave Peterson here as we take a shot at the replay. He has a little bit of, this is going to be Stephen Vervayan first. This is through, I believe, the dipper. He's just going to go too much speed, hook it left here, nose into the wall.
Yep, so looks like another driver falling victim to the track. We've already got about 3 or 4 drivers who have taken their spare car. We're on lap 3. I'm not too surprised about it, if I'm honest. This is a very tough track, so it's not a slag on these drivers' skill. It is just what to expect at a track such as this. Meanwhile, the battle here for 6th position, Ellis being chased by Reed, by Gale, by Benwillid.
It is a really good mid-pack battle, and looks like we're going to be heading down the hill. Oh, this is lap traffic. We're having to go around at one of the narrowest sections of the racetrack. Looks like he pulls over through the dipper, lets the pack by.
Hillman is able to get out of the way, but certainly made things a little scary for the front pack. Still looking at moves. Coming down into Forest Elbow, and somehow Shanitas keeps it out of the wall. Horvath has to try and check up to make sure that he makes the corner. It's a drag race down the hill once again. That is Brent Sterling just in front of him. That's our 2nd place driver.
Joe, I didn't think we were going to see too wide in some of these sections, but Connor Janitas just proved me wrong. I cannot believe he stuck it in that little tiny space and then on the outside of Forest Elbow.
Under braking into the chase once again, Sterling under attack, but Horvath, he goes off. He shook him off the courses. It looks like Sterling just outbraked himself. Goes off to the right-hand side, taking the racing line. Horvath back to the left to try and see if he can take the apex away into Murray's corner. Gets a little bit of a curb, and he manages to keep it out of his rival, but look at all the speed that he lost.
Oh, no, and yeah, Keenan Harris is going to go by Horvath as well. He just couldn't complete the pass through turn 23, that last turn, and yeah, just bit him. Keenan Harris now back up in the pack, but Connor Janitas once again with a great move.
Let's take a look at Peterson's incident from a little bit earlier, from about a lap ago. I think this was down into Murray's corner. Yes, indeed it is. And car, once again, that inside curb does not look to play nice, and he got clipped. So I think that was Harlan Goldborn who got a piece of him, unfortunately.
Here we go. Too wide. Are we going to see too wide through the cutting? No, we zipper in single file. It's still going to be Brent Sterling leading this kind of pack right here. Keenan Harris right on the bumper, and Nick Horvath in that plaid machine. That's 5th place right here, but this is all settling it out for the final spot on the podium for race 1.
And Sterling now in front of Harris and Horvath. This has been good news for Janitas. He's trying to run away. He needs to try and break that slipstream. There's that side-by-side coming down into McPhillamy. Wow, that was scary for Sterling. Straddling the curb somehow does not wreck as we're on board with Horvath behind Keenan Harris. He's going to sit patiently. There's a big slide coming out of there from Keenan as he tries to keep it out of the walls. Who's going to get the exit out of Forest Elbow?
It's all about early on the gas, and you see him wiggling the back end, and it's just how much speed do you dare throw it into the corner with that compression to save you?
Doesn't look like he got the best of runs, but he is going to get a nice little pull down Conrad, so this should help bring him back in. It's just a question of if it's a long enough straightaway, but looks like the answer is going to be a no. He gets within just a couple car lengths and then runs out of racetrack and nearly gets his nose in the process. I don't know if that was intentional, Joey, but whatever the case, he certainly cut that tight.
You know, racing is usually all about the corner exits, but you can be aggressive on the entries, and right there we saw an aggressive entry. Unfortunately,
Keenan just had contact, I think, with Connor Janitas coming out of the final turn. There's Connor facing the wrong way, trying to get out of the way, causing more accidents. That's Ben Willard and Alex Ellis also finding themselves off the course. This has caused chaos.
it's almost like there was oil down there. I know that there's no oil on the racetrack, but you see Connor Janitas still trying to get it into the pits, and it took away one of the big storylines that I was going to talk about. Alex Ellis was making his way through the field, about to catch the pack we were watching.
Wow, yeah, that cost so many front runners valuable time on Stuart Ross. It's now 5 seconds back to second place, Nick Horvath. A few of them promoted upwards. I think C.R. Reed got a couple positions. He's up to fifth there. And as we're watching Ben Willard here in ninth, we're going to take a look at the replay to see what kicked all that off in the first place. I saw it just out of the corner of my eye, so this should be a closer look. Connor too hot into the turn.
Oh, and then Keenan Harris with big contact. There you see Alex Ellis spinning, and then here comes a third, Joe.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of drivers just kind of shaken coming up to that car, not expecting to have a car facing the wrong way as they approach the corner. And you know what, Zippy, I have to say that last time we were at a no points race at Detroit, we had commented how well the cars race there compared to some of the more powerful cars that we see. I feel like we're kind of seeing the same here. These things are so tiny, it almost feels like they make this more like a regular track.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's certainly, I would never dream of even trying to go side by side going up through the mountain, but a few drivers here, they're certainly trying to deliver on that. Just as you're going over the top of the hill, I imagine that must be so light, like there's no weight on the suspension. So tense, like when we was watching that battle there with Sterling involved, like, and he just had to try and gather the car back up, like, very skilled, you know, just try and manage that. Like, I would certainly be a little bit nervous trying to get the kittens back in the basket in that scenario.
Absolutely. Ooh, Rich Meester's going to try and make a move on Ohayon here, and he's going to get it. I think Ohayon lifted a little bit. Let's see if he tries to fight back. That's going to be a no.
Down through to complete this lap. I believe everybody's working lap number 5. I should say completing lap number 5. And I agree with Zippy. The cars are extremely light. I think just the nature of this car, Joe, is that you have to chuck it into the corner, meaning that there's going to be rotation. You just have to trust that it's going to grip up on you. You combine that with going down the mountain, and man, you see even here Craig Willis wiggling on entry, and going down the mountain, it's got to be somewhat of a handful.
Yeah, back up the mountain straight. This is one of those momentum straightaways that Zippy was talking about a little bit earlier on, up to Ron Gale at the end of that straightaway. A little wide there. You don't want to get offline on that right-hander, and he's going to lose valuable car lengths up to CR Reed.
It's all uphill. Sometimes even in these cars, you feel like getting the paddle out and helping row up the hill here because the horses, it's not carrying you very fast up the mountain.
No, it is not. These are nimble cars. They're fast cars, but they just don't have the grunt underneath them. CRL Rainbow Warriors driver trying to keep up with his two rivals here up through the hill. And looks like as they come through McPhillamy Park, they're all a little bit too far apart right now. Going to need to try and reel each other in once they get back to those long straights. We're running out of time, though. I think it might actually be one to go next time by. It'll be close.
It should be one to go. When I was looking at it last time, I guess it was right on the edge there. But Stuart Ross has been laying down some impressive lap times. I think it really comes down to the consistency.
By the way, Alex Ellis up 11 right now into 6th position, doing a great job. Big lockup there. Meester is going to be going by, I think that was a lapped car that they were overtaking.
Yes, it was. And this is, I believe, right in front of Alex Ellis, who we were just talking about. Rich Meesters as well on that Conrad straightaway. Joe, this straightaway is so dang long.
And downhill. 2 laps to go, though, as they cross the line. Stuart Ross giving us, about, I'd say, 30 to 20 seconds extra to complete that extra lap. Rich Meesters just into the top 10, eyeing Craig Willis here. And they've got Cedric O'Hyan just behind. That's John Benwillet at the front of this 4-car train, but does a great exit out of Murray's corner and is starting to pull away from that trio.
Yeah, but we got this nice long straightaway here after turn 1. All about the exit. Looks like all of them actually get through the corner pretty easily. Maybe Cedric O'Hyan starting to close it in on Rich Meesters a little bit. This is a passing opportunity up into turn 2. I just don't feel like Cedric is quite there yet.
Yeah, he's going to have to be a little closer. There's not much braking into that turn into Griffin's. He knows it. He's going to back out, but it's slow into it. The car ahead, that causes a spin. Meesters keeps it out of the wall just barely, but he's going to lose the position. But man, great hands on him to be able to keep it from becoming a wreck, both with the wall or the other cars. Oh, and Ellis is around.
This looks to be in the cutting, which, I think he just lost it on entry, Joe. Alex Ellis is one of our fastest drivers. We've been talking about momentum all night. That part of the racetrack, it's the steepest, sharpest part of the racetrack where you have to carry the speed, and I think he just went a little bit too fast.
Indeed. So Ron Gale now in 5th position, still chasing CR Reed here. These two have been close together for some time. And as they accelerate down Conrad, we're going to check in with a replay in the meantime. And I think this is going to be for Meesters, I assume. Oh no, this is Alex Ellis and his incident. So what happened here?
I think it's just too much speed, Joe.
Yeah.
The cars are loose, and so on entry, they're naturally going to wag the tail, and that section of the racetrack I mentioned is the steepest, so you have to take the most risk with the most reward.
Well, looks like that risk unfortunately cost him, if anything. White flag is now out for Stuart Ross. 12.7 seconds now that he has over the nearest car, which is actually Brent Sterling, who has pushed himself back into P2. And in fact, that you can see he's being chased here by Reed and Gale, who are being towed along with him, but time is running out.
I'm impressed by Stuart Ross. I know that he was our pole sitter. I should expect him to be the fastest car on the racetrack, but we're talking over 1.5 seconds per lap that he's putting on the entire field.
Yeah, that is just mighty impressive stuff from him. Certainly going to be one to watch out for, since he's probably going to be starting from the front for the next one as well, unless he decides he wants to try and come from the back of the field as well and start from pit lane. As we ride with Gale here, looking over his shoulder, now coming into the cutting. Another very steep uphill, probably one of the steepest uphill parts of this lap. Climbing and climbing past the trees up towards the parks here, along the ridge at the top of the mountain. He is closing in, it looks like, on CR Reed. We might have a battle coming back down the hill.
We've seen a couple cars maybe duel it out side by side through Skyline. I don't think Ron Gale is going to be doing that at all, but here we go. We start to go down the mountain. Who dares wag the tail a little bit further, maybe carry a little bit more speed through the dipper here? Who's playing it safe? Actually looks like CR Reed starting to gap it out just a little bit.
Yeah, he's had a great run down through the S's there, and that may have saved his bacon, as up at the front, Stuart Ross now up to 14 seconds ahead. His fastest lap, looking way faster, more than a second faster than Brent Sterling's behind him. As he comes through the chase, just one more corner to go now out of Murray's corner. Just has to brake for this 90-degree left-hander, keep it off that big curb that has caught out a few drivers already, and he does it very smoothly. First race of the night goes to Stuart Ross here.
And I've actually got my eye on Ron Gale. He might show a nose here to CR Reed. I don't think he's quite close enough going into Murray's corner, but here's Brent Sterling. He will complete the race in second place.
So it'll be Sterling Reed, second and third there. Gale fourth. Horvath collects the top five. Again, no points here. This is all just for bragging rights today. And who's gained a lot of positions? Wow, a lot of the back markers did pretty well. Craig Willis, Cedric O'Hyan, Alex Ellis, and Shane Vickery all up 6.
Really good race out there. And unfortunately, Vervayan, not with the result he was looking for in race 1.
Well, speaking of the results, here is how it wound up, with Stuart Ross taking the win. Brent Sterling was second, and CR Reed, P3. Ron Gale was fourth, followed by Nick Horvath in fifth. And it was John Binwillid in sixth, Keenan Harris seventh, and Craig Willis eighth. Cedric O'Hyan up from 15th to 9th, and Rich Meesters at least got himself a top 10.
In 11th, we have Alex Ellis, who had a few problems out there on the racetrack. Then Shane Vickery up 6 spots. Michael Broomhead in 13th. Connor Janitas 14th after running up front there in that pack. Steven Vervayan with the early incident finishes 15th. And then we got all the rest of these cars either a lap down or a DNF on the racetrack. Matthew Mailman, Dave Peterson, and Harlan Goulbourne.
Well, we had so much action up at the front. We didn't really get to talk about the rest of the pack all that much, but hopefully this next race will give us an opportunity. A few of the drivers towards the back of the pack going to have to be charging through, such as Peterson, as they grid up once again. So drivers now getting ready. Temperatures have continued to rise. It is now up to 103 on the track surface, continuing to get slipperier and slipperier out there here in Australia. So they should be up and going pretty quickly here, Joey. 18 cars. No, it looks like not going to be back. I don't see Peterson or Goulbourne here.
Well, that's what I was wondering. We're going to see who all grids up for this one, because we had a few takers from pit lane last time, which I'm not surprised here at Mount Panorama. It's a common strategy to try to avoid any big wrecks in these first couple turns.
Yeah, and thankfully we didn't see any of those giant pileups there on the first time last time, but they got to do it 2 more times here. Let's see if they can keep it together. Vickery, the last one, and I think that should be it. Yes, indeed. Looks like we'll start to hear the engines rev as the lights will come up for race number 2 of the evening. And the green flag is out. Ooh, very bad start back there for Ron Gale. He spins the tires up a little bit. Nick Horvath is going to be able to overtake him. Looks like, I think that's John Benwillid also getting to his inside down into Hell corner. But they make it through the first turn safely, except for a spin at the very back for Mailman.
Yeah, and Keenan Harris was also able to squeak by Ron Gale in that turn 1 area, but I mean, deja vu. Stuart Ross already with a half a second gap just on the first straightaway.
Coming up into the braking now for Griffin's men. Still got some side-by-side towards the back. Aggressive move by Craig Willis to slide up the inside of Ron Gale. Looks like he's going to get that spot. Cedric O'Hyan going to try and capitalize as well. And look at this. We might get 3 wide here as they come into the cutting. That's Ellis there at the back of it as Cedric almost holds the outside, but not quite. It looks like Craig Willis slips behind Alex Ellis, and in front of both of them, it's still Ron Gale.
Props to Alex Ellis being extremely respectful on the racetrack, leaving plenty of room for his fellow competitors, and that was almost 3 wide. He decided to back out of it, and look at how close he is to Ron Gale. He's saying, come on, Ron, let's go get him.
Still right on top of him. Oh, he's going to look for it into Skyline. That is super brave out of him, but he actually makes it stick, and Alex Ellis moves into 7th with that overtake. That is incredible stuff. Down through the S's they fly. Can he play catch up a little bit better this time, not having to come from the back? Does he have anything for a driver such as Stuart Ross?
We'll see if he can chase down the leader. He's definitely going to chase down this pack, which has Keenan Harris right in front of him. Right now, Nick Horvath trying to get around CRE down the Conrad straightaway. He's already pulled out drivers right. It's actually going to bring John Benwillid into the draft as well. Now he's going to follow Nick Horvath.
Gets right through CR Reed, almost too timid there because Keenan Harris also went by down through the kink. And a little high speed for Benwillid, who wiggles, but Ron Gale was way too high speed. He goes completely off the course.
I don't see any contact, though. Thankfully, Ron's going to collect it back up, back out onto the racetrack, just at the end of the pack is all.
Meanwhile, coming back to the action here with Keenan Harris, sitting right on the gearbox of John Benwillid. He's going to look for the move down into Hell Corner. Will he regret this? No, he's got to have to leave space. And he's also not going to have the momentum, it looks like. There's that word we always say, Joey, is Benwillid and Harris go side by side, held each other up. But behind them, it looks like also side by side between Reed and Ellis.
Yeah, but kind of a little bit of a flip-flop because Ellis is going to complete the pass here on CR Reed. It looks like Keenan Harris, wow, look at him late on the brakes around Griffin's Bend, is going to complete that pass.
These cars definitely doing moves. I don't think I've seen any other cars attempt here and get away with it. They are something special as Benwillid overtaken by Ellis now into the cutting ahead of them. Brent Sterling and Nick Horvath have been fighting for second, but they got to be careful because Ross is already 2.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, well, and look at this. They were actually a little slow through the cutting, and Keenan Harris and Alex Ellis and company are just gaining the time hand over fist until you get to the top of the mountain here. Look, they had a 1 second gap, now nothing.
Absolutely. So being reeled in big time there. You saw a flash of Stuart Ross in the foreground as they head through the Dipper and weaving their way back and forth, getting right up against the walls. Don't want to hit him with these tires, though. He is peeking left and right. Does he try it into here? No, but he also manages to keep out of the back of that 24. Now, oh, it's a spin behind them. That was Benwillid.
Benwillid just got a little bit too aggressive. Ooh, backs it into the wall. I don't think it's going to be any damage on the car, but here comes Alex Ellis. Got the run out of Forest Elbow, down the straightaway. They're kind of battling over the draft right in front of him from Brent Sterling, but Alex Ellis over Keenan Harris.
Noah's Ark down through Conrad. Who's going to come out ahead, though? Craig Willis on the inside, Broomhead on the outside. Broomhead breaks much later. He's going to get the spot. So does Janitas. How did he get by Willis?
Janitas has made some excellent moves, and here he is still side by side with Steven Vervayan. A better race number 2 for Vervayan is back up front here. Horvath, Ellis, and Sterling still fighting.
Ellis up to third now. He's managed to get by that pair. Harris is going to be to the inside, and Sterling gives it up. Did I hear that Janitas maybe had a crash here? Ooh, something must have happened. So Looks like he is unfortunately going to call it, or no, not going to call it a day. He spun himself out, excuse me. Meanwhile, Alex Ellis, Keenan Harris got a good run on him. Alex going to try and fight back. And as they break into Griffin's Bend, Alex is not having it all his own way now.
I've been surprised. The Keenan Harris speed has been excellent. Him and Alex Ellis have been probably the fastest cars on the racetrack, with the exception of our leader, Stuart Ross, who just continues to pull away. So I feel like Alex might be a little bit more, dare I say, level-headed with his moves, while Keenan, I've noticed, pure aggression, pure speed.
Indeed, and I know that Zippy's been watching Alex quite a bit here. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think he could, if he can get clear of these guys, could he maybe go get Ross, or do you think he's stuck now that he's gotten into this fight?
I think he can do it, honestly. I've been watching the way he's been driving. Oh!
That was a lapped car. That was Mailman trying to get out of the way, and Keenan Harris had to actually go off the track. That was one of the few places you have runoff. So I think he got a slowdown penalty that he had to serve there. Look to the inside of Alex Ellis from Brent Sterling, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, and here we go down the Conrad straightaway. I'm sorry, Zippy, I interrupted you there. Did you have something to give us?
No, I've been watching Ellis to try and figure out how on earth is this guy so fast. And I'm thinking, okay, is he aggressive like some of our other drivers? Will see they're very aggressive. They're using all of the curb. And Alex is using a lot of the track, but I don't think that's what's giving him the speed. He's just so precise on the brakes and carrying the momentum. Like, he's going through a corner and he's got such a closing rate. It's insane. I think that's got to be how he's doing it.
Nick Horvath with a four-wheel drift in the meantime off of the chase. Not only lost second place, he's losing third, he's losing fourth. And down the inside, Keenan Harris does not like that he got held up, because he's immediately passed two cars there at the end of the lap and into third. But now that Ellis is clear, is this what he's been needing? Can he try and go down to chase down the 63?
I think so, yes. But look at this three-way battle still happening. Brent Sterling might have lost 2 positions in turn 23, but here in turn 1 exit, he's going to gain them both back.
Battle rages on, and we're about halfway through the race here, coming up into the braking of Griffin's Bend at the front of it. Brent Sterling's got the inside, trying to carry the momentum. Keenan Harris just can't find the grip on that anti-camber corner. Nick Horvath now manages to move side by side, but he's going to be on the wrong side as they head into the cutting, and he has to give way.
I love moments like that in cars like these, because you're literally looking over at your competitor and you're saying, I'm going to take the corner. He's yelling back at you, no, I'm going to have it.
Back to Horvath versus Harris here as we're going to take a look at the replay on board Keenan that cost him these positions initially. Whoa!
Look at how close this is. And that's Nick Horvath checking up for that lapped car. And I mean, just amazing avoidance from Keenan Harris here to keep it off the walls and cars.
I'm sure he's incredibly grateful that they added that paved runoff there. Otherwise, it'd been night over.
Without a doubt. And it saved his race, because he's still in it. It's still this tight three-way battle to settle out the third spot.
Indeed. So they fly down Conrad once again. At the front of it is Sterling. Harris second in line, Horvath third. Horvath's got the pole, but so does Harris. But it looks like that's a lift there from that blue number 18. Gonna maybe wait and just follow through so it doesn't go 3 wide. Yes, indeed, he's gonna get the inside, and he's gonna get the next one as he tries to outbrake his opponent, but they clatter wheels. Both of them gonna go off. He spins, nearly takes out the third car, and Brent Sterling somehow escaped disaster, as well as break the draft from both of them now that he's into third.
Oh, Keenan Harris, so close. I mentioned the pure speed and pure aggression. I think that's what we just saw right there from Keenan Harris. And you called it. Brent Sterling, I mean, inches away, but he avoided it.
Yeah, great stuff for him to see that happening and just kind of duck the car off to the side to manage to stay out of the way and not get caught up in it. Now, what about Michael Broomhead? I don't think we've really talked about him hardly at all this race, and yet here he is sitting in fourth, but how long? Because here comes Nick Horvath to the side of him.
Well, not only Broomhead, but here comes Shane Vickery as well. Another name we haven't mentioned at all here. He's going to try to take it too wide into Griffin's Bend with Broomhead. He says, no, you know what, Broomhead, you can follow Horvath here this lap. And this is great. We got 4 cars here all settling for 5th.
Yeah, this should be fun, especially what we saw for the battle for 2nd not long ago. That should be pretty fun. But as they climb up the hill, you can see the cars just struggle. They're chugging along, trying to find the power in that little engine as they push up to the parks here now at the top of the hill. Meanwhile, by the way, Ellis is about 2/10 closer to Ross, but those little margins are not going to be enough. He needs to be making much bigger inroads to catch the lead. So really, this is the best battle that we've got right now here, Joey.
And Vervayan on the back of this pack, just so close to Shane Vickery as we're starting to come down the mountain through the dipper. Nick Horvath leads this train of 4, and I actually see Keenan Harris. Oh, Keenan Harris with a problem. He was just catching this pack, and I think Keenan Harris is not going to like the results from race number 2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even though this is the regrid, we have way more than 10 cars on this one, so he's not going to find himself higher up. Meanwhile, Michael Broomhead here side by side with Stephen Vervayan, but not for long. Vervayan looks much quicker as they're up to about 140 miles an hour in these spindly little machines coming down Conrad, chasing on Vickery. And Vickery doesn't even go defensive. He leaves it open, doesn't need to defend on him as they slide through the chase.
Now, I know we covered the 49s, Joe, but these cars, they're like go-kart size. Can you imagine how much that thing is shaking at 145 miles an hour on you?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like it'd feel more dangerous than this thing, even though it's more modern than the 49. Just unbelievable coming down the hill. You'd feel so exposed as now we check out Ron Gale here in the midst of quite a pack that's led by Ohayon and Willis, but Gale slips up in the final corner. Janitas is going to sneak through because of that. Remember, he had an issue early on, and he's still playing catch-up for it.
Well, and this could actually work out, I shouldn't say well for Connor, but if he goes up there and passes one more car, he's going to be starting up front here in race number 3. Remember, Janitas has a lot of speed.
Yeah, so maybe that's what he's thinking here. He wants to be in the right place at the right time, but that can be awful if he gets it just wrong. Is down to the inside into the braking. Craig Willis is going to be able to hold off all comers. Ohayon took a little bit of a look. Now it's side by side between Gale and Janitas. Janitas does not need this. He needs a position, not to lose one. He wants to get in there, and cars make contact. Multiple cars coming together there through the cutting.
And Gale and Janitas now too wide. This is the area that the cars are small enough you can get away with it. Nice respect given from all of the competitors. But look at this, it's closing up again here.
And going slow there for some reason was Craig, and he's in the wall. He gets hip checked, and that is going to be it. There's just not enough time to get that car back out of there. And in front of them, Vickery's now had a problem. He is slowed down in the dipper. Not sure what happened there. Multiple cars on this lap seeming to have problems as we check out Cedric Ohayon now.
Watch, yeah, you're right, Cedric Ohayon coming down the hill. I do see that incident there with Vickery as well. Looks like maybe Vervayan helped him out on that, and Broomhead also in a battle right now.
Yeah, this is Broomhead with Vervayan. While we're watching this, let's go to Zippy, because you had eyes on that incident. What happened between the teammates?
So Vervayan, he's there, he's chasing Vickery, and just as they're going up over the crest, like, he was really close, but he got a bit too close, and he just gave his colleague a little bit of encouragement. So we'll see it here in the camera shot. Really hard place to go that close, especially, like, you know, nose to bumper. And I think just as he's going over the crest, the car's a little bit light, just a bit too light, a little bit of encouragement, and he's out of here.
And miraculously does not hit the wall, so that's the good news for him, but lost a lot. He's now 7 seconds behind Vervayan. Unfortunately, Broomhead now up to a top 5 himself. Janitas, by the way, is within the regrid now, but he's 9th, so he'll be regrid 2nd as it sits. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, if I'm frank, Joey.
No, definitely not the worst thing in the world. I think he's probably eyeing maybe a couple more positions, but he's got a little bit up the road to catch him as we check in. This is still that battle, 4th place position. You see Nick Horvath just in front. He's in 3rd. So if anything happens here, if there's any sort of stack up, this is a podium fight.
Side by side through the cutting, but no place to take it. And unfortunately, both of them are slow because of that. Just pinched it on the exit. And now they're going to watch their rival just kind of skitter away.
Yeah, up the road they go. And it's just tough when you get that momentum broken up the mountain. It just seems like you can never get it back. You need to start going down the hill before you feel the wind in your sail again.
It's looking like too little too late here for Alex Ellis. He's got this down to 3.5 seconds behind Stuart Ross, but we're a minute left. I don't think Stuart's going to get to the line in time. I think this might be the last lap.
He will get to the line this time. I see him. He's already on the Conrad straightaway with about a minute left, so he will do one more lap.
Janitas has unfortunately had a wreck with the wall through McPhillamy. Easy to do it there, especially with that curb on the exit. He has to take a tow. He's not going to be regrid in the top 10. It continues to switch around here at the very end of the race. Currently, Cedric O'Hyan will have the pole if it finishes as it sits right now, but he's only got half a second between himself and Rich Meesters, so he could be out of it and starting 11th instead of 1st next time. So it's all to play for.
This is a very interesting battle here, isn't it, Joe? Because this is 9th, 10th, and 11th as we get the white flag for our leader. But you're right. Whoever's the caboose on this train has to start 11th. Whoever's in the middle starts on pole.
Oh, this is going to be tricky. I think I'd want to be 9th, if anything. Oh, well, never mind. That makes it a lot easier as Rich Meesters has spun. So the battle for being within the top 10 is no more. Now it's who's going to be 1st and 2nd, as I think that's lap traffic. They've got, Mailman unfortunately struggling a bit today. But again, it's a non-points race, so all he's doing is just causing a little excitement.
Yeah, and you can't fault Matthew for anything. Sure, he's maybe been in the wrong place at the wrong time a few times here, but you have to learn something.
Well, he's the mailman, so those cars are always a little slow, right?
And especially in my neighborhood, yes.
Meanwhile, back to Stuart Ross here, 3 seconds ahead of Ellis. I doubt he's got that much pace underneath him to try and catch that 63, but he will be regrid in front of him, and that could be the difference there for the final race. Will he be able to outrun him back to the front by the last race, or will they be able to even do that? As certainly look how much they have to work the wheel here as we watch on board the steering of Stuart Ross.
This is, let's just watch the downhill.
A lot of corrections there.
You just have to trust the car, Joe. It's loose on entry, right? So you have to throw it in and trust it's going to catch you at that compression.
And it did, and he's out of the corner. Still the valuable 3 seconds ahead of his rival and blasting down the hill now. So Stuart Ross won the first one, and he's looking to try and win the second one. Remember, he put it on pole initially as well. So he's looking to do the sweep the way things are going. As he comes up to the chase, just has to do this one nice and smooth. Really one of the last difficult corners. And he's got it nice and tidy, just clipping that apex. Comes out of the chase now and towards Murray's corner. Doesn't need to get aggressive with this one at all. He's got a massive margin behind him. Stuart Ross goes 2 for 2 so far tonight here at Bathurst.
Alex Ellis there in the picture will finish in 2nd place. Nick Horvath coming through Murray's corner right now rounds out your podium.
So Brent Sterling going to be just off of that in 4th with Vervine behind him. Oh, Broomhead is going to cross the line backwards. That's interesting as Cedric O'Hyan has a spin. Can he get it going? Rich Meesters is starting to approach. This is bad news. He's going to be a little bit slow. Here comes Meesters, but he's also got lap traffic. I think that's Mailman. Is Mailman going to play a part in this as well? Or is he going to be able to stay out of the way? He's up into the top 10 here. Is Rich Meesters? He almost makes contact into the back, but I think he's got enough speed. And indeed, Rich Meesters gets it back right at the end and is going to be regrid on the pole in the last race. Wow.
I got my hand over my mouth right now. What a finish to that one.
Oh, Cedric's got to be kicking himself on that one. So here is your results for that. Stuart Ross, your winner. Alex Ellis from 11th to 2nd. And he'll start similarly on the next one as he'll be regrid 9th. Horvath was 3rd and Brent Sterling P4. Then it was Stephen Vervyen up 10 spots to take P5. Michael Broomhead was up 7 to finish 6th, and Vickery gained 5 to get 7th. Then it was C.R. Reed P8 and Ron Gale in 9th. Rich Meesters going to be your pole sitter, finishing 10th today.
The rest of the field, they will start how they finished that race. But Joe, I think looking back, comparing race number 1 and race number 2, Stephen Vervyen, right? We mentioned him pre-race that what are we going to see out of him today? Well, the first race, we saw an incident. The second race, up 10 positions. Now he's going to stay stagnant there. He's going to start P5 for race number 3. Which Vervyen are we going to get?
That's a good question. Keenan Harris crossing the line as the last driver on the lead lap. So they'll get a 1-minute warm-up, so really doesn't mean much here because they won't even be able to get halfway around the lap if they pull out, and then we'll head off to the grid. We'll give you that re-grid, just the top 10, since that's all that will change from the results that you just saw, in case you can't do that math in your head on where they'll sit once we get over to that gridding up for the final one. So who's going to be able to take away bragging rights on this one? Let's go quickly to Zippy, because I know you've had a chance to look at a lot of stuff that we haven't, because we've been a mile a minute here. Zippy, what have you noticed, or what things have you picked out in these first 2 races that we need to watch for the last one?
I think the biggest thing to watch for at the minute is purely attrition. So you can be the fastest guy on the track, but if you can't hold it together for the race, you're not going to succeed with this one. There is zero forgiveness. It's not just you versus the other driver. It's you versus the mountain. And the mountain, you're not going to win. You really got to keep your tires in order, keep the thing on the straight and narrow. I'm wondering how Ross is going to do now. It's 2 races in a row. He started up front. He's been able to pull away. He's been pretty much like left to his own devices. Now he's going to be starting back, thinking 9th. I'm going to be interested to see what he can do with that. Ellis, we know he can sail through traffic. And it's going to be a really good race. Meesters, on the other hand, he's starting on pole again. I think he's going to be having kittens as well. So we're going to have to get up an adoption page for him.
Well, here is your regrid. Meesters, as you said, on the pole with Gale starting in 2nd. C.R. Reed will be 3rd. Shane Vickery 4th. And Michael Broomhead P5. Then it's Stephen Vervyen starting 6th today. Brent Sterling in 7th. And Horvath 8th. Ellis and Ross on the 5th row. Regrid there in 9th and 10th. Cars quickly finding themselves out on the grid, ready to go for the last one of the day at 110 degrees now as it continues to rise here in what is actually, I believe, I think we are during the summer of Australia here, because it looks like it's set in November, so no wonder it's getting so hot out there. Looks like we've got all the cars ready, I think, so engines start to rev. And the green flag is out. It looks like Meesters did not get the greatest of starts, but he's going to be able to hold that up to the entry to the first corner. What's it going to be like on the exit? He's very shallow, honestly. And behind him, Ron Gale gets a much better run.
And Ron Gale's going to go side by side down this front straightaway, heading down into turn number 2. Look at this. We got 2 by 2 by 2 for the first 3 rows.
Oh boy, this is going to get interesting. We got drivers that are going to be eager to make those positions up after that regrid, but it looks like Gale is going to take the lead down into Griffin. Someone got a little bit of a hip check, and that's going to cause a spin for C.R. Reed. He's across the track. 2 more cars getting piled in there. Everybody else is able to sneak under it.
Oh, and you see, I believe that's Alex Ellis caught up in that. That all started, Joe, with Stephen Vervyen getting into his teammate again. Oh, no! Problems in the cutting. Huge wreck!
Oh, no. Absolute track blockage. Drivers having to come to a halt. Eventually, they all get going. But this has been a boon for Gale. He is 7 seconds ahead of everybody. We're not even halfway through the first lap.
Oh, my goodness. This is the disaster that can happen at Bathurst. I didn't think we were going to see it. We got 2 races clean so far, but I think maybe that Ron Gale has just escaped a little bit because the rest of the pack still very close between, what, 3rd all the way through 12th.
Going to be a lot of drivers happy that they have 2 spare cars for this one, but oh boy, that was the kind of thing that we were fearing, and it took until the last race, but now this means that Ron Gale might pull quite the upset up there as Stuart Ross is already up to 3rd, but he's got to make up 9 seconds to catch the leader at this stage. Side by side behind him there for 3rd position as Rich Meesters loses another one to Connor Janitas.
I mean, you want to talk about big movers, Joe? That number 44. Remember, he missed out on that regrid. He started 12th. Connor Janitas back on Stuart Ross. They're going to go hunt down the lead.
Unbelievable stuff. I can't believe how this is shaking things up here as we come down into the chase. Now, somebody a little bit wide there. I think that may have been Stuart Ross. As, Rich Meesters throws it away. And he's going to clunk the wall, but I think he didn't hit it too hard. And, I thought I saw somebody heading into the pits there. Yeah, Ohio and Sterling coming into pit lane to take their spare cars, apparently.
It's just, I feel like this race, it's like letting the dog into the chicken coop all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Whoa, Stuart Ross is getting a little bit too greedy and finds himself off the track there briefly. He's going to be slow up the hill because of it. Connor Janitas says, thank you very much. I'll slide into 3rd.
Yeah, clean air now for Connor Janitas. And I just wonder, because Nick Horvath has plenty of speed. We've seen it. Here comes Stuart Ross actually right back on Janitas. The power of the slipstream going up the hill. So a mistake from turn 1, but then gets it right back just with that toe. And I'm just curious if any one of these 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place runners can go chase down Ron Gale with that 7-second lead.
I think Ross might have a possibility, but he needs to stop messing around back here. Horvath could. He's 7 seconds behind. He looked pretty fast in the last one, but he's going to have to really hustle.
I think the biggest thing that it's going to come down to is mistakes, though. Stuart Ross has been really the one tonight that hasn't put down many mistakes, and here we are. He's in 3rd place. Maybe with somebody in his mirrors, it's just a little bit of a different ball game for him.
Could be. I think, and I might be cursing it, I think things have calmed down enough that maybe we could look at replays for the start. I'm checking to see if our directors got those spooled or not, because I certainly would like to get another look at those in a bit here. Oh, did Horvath just have a problem? No, excuse me. He blinked from a connection issue, so thought we had another wreck at the front. Let's go to Zippy, because he's had much more opportunity to really analyze these. Zippy, talk us through.
So, okay, which replay you got here? I was talking about, Rich.
Oh, this is Meesters causing the big pile up there in the cutting.
We've got more than one accident to look at then. I was looking at lap 1, turn 2. Chaos, panic, and disorder. Our work here is done.
That's a good summary. I like that. let you know everything you need to know there. And as we come back to Connor Janitas in 4th place, Stuart Ross starting to shake him a little bit here.
This is what Stuart needs to do, is that he needs to separate himself from Connor Janitas, just ignore everything in the rearview mirror, because if he wants to go out and chase down the lead, he's going to have to put down qualifying laps. He's going to have to approach this race far different than the first 2.
Indeed. Gap is now at 6 seconds between Gale and Horvath, just under it actually. So Horvath is reeling him in. 24.2 for Nick. Ron with a 24.9, so about 0.7 of a second faster. I think that might actually do it.
I think it will. I think it will. It's gonna come down to the consistency, Joe, like I mentioned, but it's the mountain. How consistent can you be here?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, no doubt. Stuart Ross last time was a 23.2, so he was even quicker. Oh, a lot quicker actually than them. But that lap actually wasn't the fastest lap because we had a whole bunch of different off tracks throughout the lap. Meanwhile, now Zippy's got the initial incident that he was looking at. Talk us through this one.
So as I'm watching it here, it looks like Gale's kind of slowed up a little bit, but Viant's going to give Vickery a little shunt, and as you can see there, he's just along for the ride. Vickery goes in, hits Reed. Ellis has got nowhere to go. Another car gets tangled in the mix as well. Quite a few manage to stay to the right. Reed is absolutely dead as a doorknob at this point, just trying to get the car back heading for the straight and narrow.
Meanwhile, Alex Ellis is actually still in 5th after that, so he's done a spectacular job. And Joey, that's a testament to what you were talking about, keeping the mistakes away. Since that incident, I mean, we're only on lap 3, he's just been plugging away.
Well, we saw 2 replays there, and I think Alex Ellis getting taken out in turn 2, or I should say blocked up, might have saved him from that incident in the cutting. So I don't know, which wreck would you rather have, Joe?
Probably the first one, honestly, because the second one, I think so many more drivers wound up with damage, and I think Ellis did not. I think he had a clean car. Meanwhile, Ron Gale coming to the line. Let's see what the lap is this time. Is he aware that he needs to try and pick up the pace if he wants to take the win? And will he be pushing it? It's his fastest. Another 2/10 lopped off at a 24.7. Nick Horvath coming across the line gets a 22.6. That's a massive lap from Nick Horvath. It's down to 4.2.
Yeah, not... Oh, Broomhead off. Looks like this is after the chase here. We've seen a few cars maybe get loose on the exit grass right there and then maybe have a big tank slapper. That's probably what I expect out of Michael Broomhead's incident there. But, Joe, to talk about the front, I think it's going to condense like an accordion from Ron Gale all the way to Connor Janitas because Stuart Ross is pulling Connor with him.
Interesting. Which, frankly, if Connor's doing this intentionally, I feel like this is the smart thing. It's such a draft-heavy track, even in these cars, that I wonder if Connor says, all right, this guy's faster. Let's just grab the coattails and go.
I agree. That would be the smart move. Remember, Stewart has won the first 2. He was on pole. So let's just follow him on up there.
Will that give him a shot to maybe snipe the win at the end? Or will he not be able to try and attack on Stewart? Or will Stuart Ross not get to the lead on this one? Still 8 minutes left on the clock. We're down to 3.5 seconds between Gale and Horvath, but it's another 1.5 seconds down to Stuart Ross and Janitas as well. So they have to play a little bit more catch up than even the 382 does. Love that angle there from Dougie coming down through the dipper.
I love the racetrack. The elevation here is something else. It is on the bucket list of places to go to.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, I really should add this one to those that I need to get to. I crossed a couple off my list recently, but I should probably add this now that I've taken a few off of there. Is Janitas behind Stuart Ross using that slipstream? Is he just going to sit there? Yeah, that looks like a lift to me.
I think so. I think if Janitas is being smart, he should follow Stuart Ross. There's no point in trying to overtake Stuart right now because if you do, if you feel like you're faster, that's okay, but you're just going to lose ground to Nick Horvath, and right now, the name of the game is to go catch the leader.
2:24.9 that time for Gale. Horvath, 2:22.5, another 2 seconds lopped off and getting ever closer. Janitas taking a tiny peek to the inside, then coming back into the slipstream of his competitor. Alex Ellis, in the meantime, takes the fastest lap of the race at a 22.232.
Here we go. Are we going to get Connor? Yeah, he's going to try to make this move around Stuart Ross. Now, this will be interesting. Can Connor carry the speed up through the mountain the way that Stuart has, or are we going to see a little bit of a slower lap time? Oh, we're going to get side by side in Griffin's Bend.
Gave him just enough space now to the inside there. They almost banged wheels, but they'll get away with it. Ross is not going to be happy about that. He's on a mission right now, and Connor's being nothing but an annoyance at this stage.
And I don't blame Connor. He's just kind of posturing a little bit. He's saying, yeah, we're catching him, but hey, bud, I'm still faster than you. I'm still here.
Indeed. So up past all the various parks at the top of the hill into McPhillamy here in a moment. Ron Gale only has 1.5 seconds now. He's watching the opportunities start to slip through his fingers. That said, if Connor can do it, surely Gale can try and hold on to the back of guys like Horvath and Ross as well.
Oh my goodness, and he just lost a huge amount of ground to Nick Horvath. I'm talking over a second in the dipper alone. Here we go through Forest Elbow. Nick Horvath right tucked up in the slipstream.
He's been coming, and now he's there. It looks like Horvath has an opportunity to try and take the lead if he wants it. Does he try and play games? Nope, he's not going to play games. He's going to go for it. Past Gale, down Conrad, but he blinks in the process, which certainly makes life a little bit more circumspect for Ron Gale. But he's going to slide in behind him. Stuart Ross now a second and a half back, as you can see them looking from the gearbox of Horvath.
What I liked seeing right there out of Ron was that he didn't necessarily go up there and try to challenge Nick Horvath in the break zone. He's been running his pace. That's what kept him out front, and he continues to run his pace.
Based on what we're seeing here, Zippy, I think Ross and Janitas are going to be catching up to this pair leading right now. So I have to ask you, with all your familiarity with so many of the drivers in this league, who is your money on taking this here at the end?
I think if Ross can just about snug it up, I think he's going to make some moves. I would be worried if I was Ross. I'd be very worried about Janitas up behind him, because that is his biggest threat right now. I think Gale is going to sit behind Horvath and hope that Horvath will pull him away. I don't think Horvath getting past was an accident. I think it was very much of, oh my goodness, thank goodness you're here. Please get me out of here. I think that was what was happening with that one.
Yeah, let's watch the lap times now, because if Gale suddenly does personal bests, then he's doing exactly what you're talking about. And they are still about a second ahead of Stuart Ross, so doesn't look like he's catching as quickly as I thought. I thought he was going to just be right up on them by the time they hit the mountain. That is not quite the case, but it is getting there.
He's within 1 second, so he's in that slipstream already. Doesn't have to count on making up too much track going down the mountain, but here we go. Up at the very, very top, the highest elevation on this circuit. Now we go through Skyline, start to go down the hill. This is where Ron Gale had his problem the last lap, is through the dipper right here. And you see Ron just really slow and cautious in comparison to this number 63.
Indeed. So, down to the inside and almost making contact, the slide. They get away with it, but Ron Gale now not only loses that second position, he's lost the draft of Horvath.
Oh man, what a move from Stuart Ross. I didn't expect it going down into Forest Elbow, but he made it work, and I don't think he's got any damage despite banging the wall.
I don't think that was intentional. I think it was just caught out by the braking of Ron Gale there, maybe.
It very well could be, Joe, because I mentioned Ron, that's kind of the slowest area of his lap, but I applaud him for running his pace, because when you get into trouble, you get sucked up into other people's race.
So this one going to be 2 to go. Yes, 2 laps to go, but it was a little tight on this one, as they only had about a few seconds left at the line because of, I guess, all the opening wrecks changed a bit of the nature of this one. Horvath now trying to run away, but Ross has about 1.8 seconds and 2 laps to catch him.
You see Alex Ellis up there. He threw down that fastest lap. I don't think he's quite close enough. Now, he might be able to catch Ron Gale, but I was expecting that maybe if there was some battling going on, it might draw in Alex Ellis. But this is going to be all Nick Horvath and what he can do on the mountain.
Horvath managed to qualify third in for the first race, finished 5th in that one. Ironically, went from that 5th to 3rd in the second race, and now he's about to go from 8th to potentially 1st if he can just hold it together long enough. Janitas has still got the coattails of Stuart Ross, and Ron Gale also is pretty well up there. The question is, can he keep with it over the top of the mountain? Because I think that's going to be the deal breaker there for him. There is that trio that is trying to play catch up.
And this is perfect for Nick Horvath. He wants Connor to go up here and attack Stuart Ross. The more they fight it out for second place, the more Nick Horvath is going to be able to stretch out his gap. But Stuart Ross, very aggressive down the mountain, was getting a little bit wide there, but is making it work.
To the credit of Horvath, I'm looking at his fast laps versus Ross's. They're pretty close to one another. So I'd say that this is legitimate here from the 382. He's genuinely fast, which is going to make life very difficult for Stuart Ross. There you see Janitas in the white car trying to hold on. Ron Gale did not manage to keep touch with them. He's back to about 1.6 seconds.
You see just that little gap that Nick Horvath has, and he is thanking his lucky stars for it, because that means no slipstream from Stuart Ross, and Stuart Ross has to go up there and catch him the old-fashioned way.
Unfortunately for Nick, he can't slow down and let this race run out here. He is going to have to take the extra lap because Ross is just a little bit too close across the timing line with about 6 seconds left to go. And he's got 2 seconds behind him to Stuart Ross. Last lap for Nick Horvath was a 22.5. Ross was a 22.7. He was actually slower.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. Can Stuart Ross pull something out of his back pocket to go catch Nick Horvath, challenge for that win? And I see Brent Sterling also chasing John Benwillid.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about those back there all that much. Just it's been such an exciting race up at the front. Benwillid with a fight on his hands to decide 6th place as they take the white flag as well.
Last lap of the night here at Mount Panorama Bathurst, and who's going to survive the mountain, or will it end in tears for somebody on the last lap?
We have to remember that Horvath can't sit around on this one. He's got to push, and will that maybe elicit a mistake that allows Stuart Ross through? So this is definitely not done.
And I'm also seeing Zippy's on top of it too. I think Alex Ellis might catch Ron Gale here this last lap, especially coming down the mountain as we're watching Connor Janitas really slide it here going through Skyline.
You got to really be comfortable in that car moving around underneath you. Janitas, what's he going to do when it comes down to this last Conrad straight? Oh, and it looks like Benwillid and Sterling have come together. An accident through the cutting as they were vying for position. That one came to tears, but will this one come to tears as well? Or will they be able to keep it clean? 0.6 of a second apart. Is this too far back for Connor?
I think we're about to find out, Joe. But I think it is. I think it is too far back from Stuart Ross right now to make this work.
Yeah, I think he maybe needed to be just a bit closer, but that's good on Ross for managing to put himself out of arm's reach. Nick Horvath, same thing, just managed to utilize that incident and pull away just in time to give himself about a 1.5 second buffer coming to the finish here. Nick Horvath was there or thereabouts for the other. This time he was at the top and he takes the win of the last race.
All earned for Nick Horvath on the racetrack. You can see how happy that driver is.
And Ellis was 3/10 shy of Ron Gale at the end. I want to give Ron Gale a lot of credit. Some drivers would be more willing to just give it up, but knowing that they had such faster drivers. But I think he fought this one all the way to the finish.
I agree with you, Joe. I think Ron Gale kind of maybe the unsung hero here of this race. I mentioned it a couple times. It's really easy to get sucked into another's pace when they go past you, but he didn't. He ran his race. It's what kept him out front, and it's what brought him home 4th.
So Brent Sterling only 6th today, and he's still getting in line. In fact, we'll see 10 out of these 16 starters manage to see the checkered flag on this one. In fact, Brent Sterling seems to have quite a bit of damage, unfortunately, as he crabs it across the line. And the rest of the drivers are also just kind of trickling through from here. So I think that's a good enough time for us to catch a small break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. welcome back to Mount Panorama Circuit. Our non-championship race tonight gave us a ton of fun. I hope the drivers enjoyed it because we did. And Nick Horvath definitely enjoying this last win of the night as Stuart Ross was behind him, was trying to play catch up, but maybe he was too eager in his pass as he hit the wall, cost him valuable time. He had to settle for second, couldn't sweep it all 3 races. Connor Janitas, though, nice third place for him. And Ron Gale, who didn't look like he necessarily had the pace there for much of the race, couldn't hold on to the lead, but still finished 4th. And I think he deserves some kudos as Alex Ellis was 5th and Brent Sterling 6th. And it was John Binwalid in his 7th, Michael Broomhead in P8, Rich Meesters, who started on pole, wound up in 9th, and C.R. Reed was 10th.
And unfortunately, here in the final race, we had a lot of attrition. These are all DNFs. Cedric O'Hyan, Matthew Mailman, Craig Willis, Shane Vickery, Keenan Harris, Stephen Vervine, Dave Peterson, and Harlan Goulbourne. They all raced here tonight, but unfortunately, race number 3 didn't finish.
And I believe that's going to take us to our winner, Nick Horvath here. Love to hear his thoughts on how nervous he felt there up at the front, knowing he has such a fast driver behind him. Because, Nick, congratulations. You found yourself going from 3rd to 5th and from 5th to 3rd. And then you took that 8th place and said, all right, let's go for broke. And you took the win. But was it difficult with Stuart trying to chase you?
Oh man, it was definitely on my mind the entire time, but really it was just don't make any more mistakes. After that first one, I threw away 2nd place. I knew I had to buckle down and keep it, but watching that gap was it was kind of a bit of a problem for like the last half of the race. I was still trying to get over how I even managed to get through all that. I guess I owe some god an apology.
Yeah, but this was a wild one. We all knew coming in there's no pressure. This is all just for having fun out there. But at the same time, every racer wants to win. So after you came close and it looked like you had speed on those first 2, did you change any of your mindset for the first one, or were you just gung-ho the whole way?
Oh, I was gung-ho the whole way. I just went full send as soon as I got on. I knew I had the speed. It's just I knew I had to try and be clean. But really, it's just once you're coming down the hill, as long as you have a good line and you can just hit it consistently, you'll be faster than everyone else every single time. It's really about where you catch everyone else. I know I was watching the relatives, and you could just watch it tick down by almost a second sometimes going through there.
Well, great stuff. Obviously, you want to try and carry this on as we head on over to next race, which will award points at another Australian track in Phillip Island. Do you feel pretty confident right now?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I can't say that I'm not. That's for sure.
All right. Well, regardless, congratulations on the win, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more in these final 2 rounds.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Nick Horvath in 382 as Joey has caught up with Stuart Ross, our 2nd place finisher and winner in the first 2 races.
Yeah, almost a complete sweep for Stuart Ross. Snagged the pole position, snagged the first 2 race wins, but comes home 2nd in race number 3. Congratulations, Stuart.
Yeah, thank you. Really good weekend for me, honestly. With a good pace, and I got lucky on the first 2 race starts, just getting away from people and keeping my lead up.
Well, talk to us about race 3, because that was probably your most frantic race of tonight. And what did you need to go chase down Nick Horvath? Did the wall contact hurt you at all?
It hurt me a little bit. Just my confidence and my focus got thrown off a little bit from the contact, but it was really the unfortunate crash ahead of me into, I think, turn 4 or 5. And that killed my momentum up the top of the mountain. But I think I clawed back up to 2nd, which is good.
Yeah, you had a tremendous drive. We actually taken a look at the slow-mo of you squeaking by that turn 4 incident up through the cutting. Now, when you got past Ron Gale, we noticed that you made that little bit of wall contact going down into Forrest's elbow. Was that a planned move going down there, or was it just a little bit of a closing rate that caught you off guard?
I would like to say it was planned, but I think it was just a bit of a lockup with all the weight on the front end, and I was still trying to make the corner, so I locked up and went a bit deep. Thankfully, I didn't hit him though, so I think we're
No, you
still on
did
good terms
you
there.
did a great job avoiding, and you made it look pretty cool out there, Stuart.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, anybody you want to say hi to?
I'd like to say hi to my dad, I think, for getting me into racing in general, and helping me just fund my sim racing shenanigans.
Always a good shout out. Hi, Papa Ross out there. And Stuart Ross coming home with a great night. 2 wins, pole position, and a 2nd place here at Bathurst.
In the meantime, Zippy has caught up with 3rd place driver Connor Janitas.
Hey Connor, welcome to the booth. You must be feeling particularly pleased with yourself after that feature race. Tell us how it went for you.
Yeah, I think that one was all about surviving the first lap, and I think I got a little lucky up the hill and found a way through, and then just followed Stewart up to the podium. Not much else to that one.
I think a little lucky may be an understatement. I'm literally watching the replay back. So, lap 1, turn 2, huge accident in front of you. All happens on the outside of the track. You sailed through that one. I say, okay, nicely done. But then I'm thinking, okay, you're in some breathing room. Nope, 2 corners later, you're at it again. And you just, Special Agent Connor Janateus, like, is MI5 going to recruit you after such evasive skills?
Oh yeah, it was just quick reactions and hope for the best. The second one was just thought I saw a gap and just held the throttle down, and luckily my wheels didn't get snagged on anyone else's, and I made it through.
Absolutely fantastic driving. I do want to ask you though, going through the mountain, I was watching yourself and Ross. I did find you were very, very smooth going through. Like, I know you would have practiced this, but did you find that going up through the mountain, that like smaller inputs were more beneficial, really focusing on that line? I also find you took quite a bit of curve. I mean, you're one of the braver racers among us. Please tell me a bit more about it and your technique.
Yeah, I think it's honestly just trying to adapt my style from the real life thing to this. It's this thing's a little more loose in the rear end than how I set my car up in real life, so you have to be especially smooth. But yeah, I just try and keep the momentum high, right? Like every little input you make is gonna slow the car down, and whether that's pulling out from a draft or a little extra input when you're going around a slower corner. So it's all about being smooth and trying to keep the car in the power band and keep the momentum high.
I also understand, if I'm correct, were you at the Canadian Grand Prix track this weekend?
No, we were at the Verac Vintage Grand Prix at Mossport. Didn't make the trek out to Montreal, but held it down for the Toyo F1600 series at Mossport. We had about 24 cars out between the A and B class, so really, really strong attendance, and it was honestly great racing all weekend. I'm a little tired, to be honest, because it's the 5th day straight that I'm at it, so definitely going to sleep well tonight.
I did hear you did very well about that. I personally don't mind if you spoil it. Some others may, so that's your call. If you've done well, feel free to celebrate that. I will cheer you on all the way. But it's fantastic to see you sim racing and racing like in person. And thank you very much for coming out. Is there anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, the whole team that we're doing the real life thing with, mom, dad, my brother Cole, and Joe as well. We had a really strong showing this weekend as a team. We went 2-4 in quali, and then myself, I went 3-4-5 in the races. So, right up with the lead pack. And this is kind of really the 2nd year we're doing this full time. So to be right up there with the big boys is really great, and it wouldn't be possible without a team effort, right? Like I do my job on the track, but everyone that's in racing knows that's really the last thing, but it's all about those puzzle pieces laying up to it. So really, really appreciate all the time and effort, guys. We wouldn't be able to do it without you, and I'm really proud of everything we've done so far this season.
That is absolutely fantastic, Connor. Like, I'm seeing the the 1600s coming. I'm seeing it on Facebook and stuff like that, and all I can help do is but cheer you on. So thank you for coming out. And are you looking forward to Phillip Island at the next round?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to getting back into a points round, and hopefully my first 2 races can be a little cleaner, so I can have a nice 3 on the go for that one.
Maybe they'll give you a couple more gadgets for the car.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Thanks for dropping in, Connor.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And one last interview. Didn't get on the podium today, unfortunately, but Michael Broomhead is one of the organizers of this series. So we're going to have a quick chat with him. Michael, maybe not as high up as you would have hoped for, but it looked like everybody had fun on a non-championship race.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, really. I made an absolute mess of the whole thing, so that was fun. But it was good trying to fight back through the pack and try to put some good lap times in. And basically, I mean, I rarely get to practice, so this was it was nice to sort of have a little bit of breathing room at times, I suppose, self-enforced. But you know how it goes.
Now, I understand that you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the races coming up here and some of the plans of the series. You guys are a very close-knit group with a lot of racing going on.
Yeah, ultimately we have the two main championships. We do the Radical Canada main series during the winter, which that's going to start up again during September, and this series is going to have a winter series in the same time. So we're actually running a summer series that's kind of not broadcast right now, which is just getting momentum. But yeah, we're open to signups, basically. Anybody who wants to come and join the fun, whether it's F1600s or Radical during the winter months from about September onwards, please reach out, Instagram, through GSRC, Discord, iRacing themselves as well. But yeah, reach out. Let's come and enjoy ourselves and let's put on a good show for the GSRC crowd as well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming and chatting to us, Michael, and hopefully you'll get a little more practice in some of the upcoming races.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. It might pay off a little bit, right? We'll see.
This is Michael Broomhead here, finishing 8th at the end of the day in that last race, which is going to wrap us up. So, big thank you, of course, to the community for bringing us on for this season of coverage. And also, thanks to the team today, Daniel, Joey, Zippy, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we said, the next race, Phillip Island, will be Monday, July 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here, including up next later tonight, the Porsche Owners Club will be at Montreal at 11 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.